फजले उमर तेरे औसाफे करीमाना याद के बनाते हैं हर रूह को दीवाना। ऐ फजले उमर तेरे।
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Dear Jamaat members, we are having tonight our regional Jalsa Peshgoi MUSLEH-E-MAUD. We will start our session with the recitation of a portion from Holy Quran with its English and Urdu translation. Can I request Arslan Ejaz Saab, who is a young Waqf Zindagi and he belongs with Manchester East Jamaat, and he is a student of Jamia Ahmadiyya UK. Can he come for the English and Urdu translation with the recitation of Holy Quran?
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وإذ قال عيسى ابن مريم يا بني إسرائيل إني رسول الله إليكم مصدقا لما بين يدي من التوراة ومبشرا برسول يأتي من بعد اسمه أحمد. فلما جاءهم بالبينات قالوا هذا سحر مبين. ومن أظلم ممن افترى على الله الكذب وهو يدعى إلى الإسلام والله لا يهدي القوم الظالمين. يريدون ليطفئوا نور الله بأفواههم والله متم نوره ولو كره الكافرون. هو الذي أرسل رسوله بالهدى ودين الحق ودين الحق ليظهره على الدين كله ولو كره المشركون. اب ان آیات کا اردو ترجمہ پیش کیا جائے گا. میں پناہ مانگتا ہوں اللہ کی دھتکارے ہوئے شیطان سے، اللہ کے نام کے ساتھ جو بے انتہا رحم کرنے والا، بن مانگے دینے والا اور بار بار رحم کرنے والا ہے. اور یاد کرو جب عیسیٰ ابن مریم نے اپنی قوم سے کہا کہ اے بنی اسرائیل، میں اللہ کی طرف سے تمہاری طرف رسول ہو کر آیا ہوں. جو کلام میرے آنے سے پہلے نازل ہو چکا ہے یعنی تورات، اس کی پیش گوئیوں کو میں پورا کرتا ہوں، اور ایک ایسے رسول کی بھی خبر دیتا ہوں جو میرے بعد آئے گا، جس کا نام احمد ہوگا. پھر جب وہ رسول دلائل لے کر آ گیا تو انہوں نے کہا یہ تو کھلا کھلا فریب ہے، اور اس سے زیادہ ظالم کون ہو سکتا ہے جو اللہ پر جھوٹ باندھے، حالانکہ وہ اسلام کی طرف بلایا جاتا ہے، اور اللہ ظالموں کو کبھی ہدایت نہیں دیتا. وہ چاہتے ہیں کہ اپنے منہوں سے اللہ کے نور کو بجھا دیں، اور اللہ اپنے نور کو پورا کر کے چھوڑے گا، خواہ کافر لوگ کتنا ہی ناپسند کریں. وہ خدا ہی ہے جس نے اپنے رسول کو ہدایت کے ساتھ اور سچا دین دے کر بھیجا ہے تاکہ اس کو تمام دینوں پر غالب کرے، خواہ مشرک کتنا ہی ناپسند کریں. Now I will present the English translation. I seek refuge with Allah from Satan the accursed. In the name of Allah, the gracious, the merciful. And remember when Jesus, son of Mary, said, O children of Israel, surely I am Allah's messenger unto you, fulfilling that which is before me of the Torah, and giving glad tidings of a messenger who will come after me. His name will be Ahmad. And when he came to them with clear proofs, they said, this is clay enchantment. But who could do greater wrong than one who forges the lie against Allah while he is called to Islam? Allah guides not the wrongdoing people. They desire to extinguish the light of Allah with the breath of their mouths, but Allah will perfect His light, even if the disbelievers hate it. He it is who has sent His messenger with the guidance and the religion of truth, that He may cause it to prevail over all religions, even if those who associate partners with God hate it.
Jazakallah Arslan Sahab, mashallah, very beautiful recitation. Now I would like to read out the agenda of today's program. Inshallah, soon we will having a nazam which will be read out from the poetry of Hazrat Khalifatul Masih II, Raziyallahu Ta'ala anhu. Then after the nazam we will have 3 speeches. First speech is in English, and we will have 2 Urdu speeches today and 1 in English. The Urdu speeches will be live translated in English, and English link has been already sent out to all Jamaat members, and I would like to request IT team if the English link can be displayed again on the screen for the English viewers, please. Now can I request Malik Jawad Ahmed Saab of Blackburn Jamaat to come and read out a nazam written by Khalifatul Masih II, Raziyallahu Ta'ala anhu.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Kalam Hazrat Khalifatul Masih Sani Raziyallahu Ta'ala anhu. اپنے کرم سے بخش دے میرے خدا مجھے بیمار عشق ہوں تیرا دے تو شفا مجھے اپنے کرم سے بخش دے جب تک کہ دم میں دم ہے اسی دین پر رہوں، اسلام پر ہی آئے جب آئے قضا مجھے، بے کس نواز ذات ہے تیری ہی اے خدا، بے کس نواز ذات ہے تیری ہی اے خدا، آتا نظر نہیں کوئی تیرے سوا مجھے، آتا نظر نہیں کوئی تیرے سوا مجھے، تیری رضا کا ہوں میں طلبگار ہر گھڑی، گر یہ ملے تو جانوں کہ سب کچھ ملا مجھے، گر یہ ملے تو جانوں کہ سب کچھ ملا مجھے، اپنے کرم سے بخش دے، احسان نہ تیرا بھولوں گا تعزیست اے مسیح، پہنچا دے گر تو یار کے در پر ذرا مجھے، پہنچا دے گر تو یار کے در پر ذرا مجھے، سجدہ گناہ ہوں در پہ تیرے اے میرے خدا، اٹھوں گا جب اٹھائے گی یہاں سے قضا مجھے، اپنے کرم سے بخش دے میرے خدا مجھے، बीमार इश्क हूँ तेरा, दे तू शफा मुझे, अपने करम से बख्श दे.
Jazakallah, Jawasa, mashallah, very beautiful nazam. Now we are moving forward to our speech section. And the first speech of today is by Mubarak Ahmed Saab of Manchester West Jamaat. And the topic is the background of the prophecy of Muslim-E-Maud Raziyallahu Ta'ala Anhu. Peshgoi Muslim-E-Maud ka pas manzar. Mubarak Saab, please.
अस्सलाम वालेकुम वरहमतुल्लाहि वबरकातुहू.
अस्सलाम वालेकुम रहमतुल्लाहि व बरकातुहू.
وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. आज हम सब जिस पेशगोई
Today, the revelation that we are gathered to discuss is based on the revelation of the promised son of the promised Messiah alayhi salam. The revelation is not only about the coming of the promised son, the birth of him, but also his truth later in life. As mentioned in the earlier poem, I'm going to discuss the revelations from Allah the Almighty that was sent to the promised Messiah alayhi salam. I would like to mention a few things. It's a saying in Arabic, As-sabiyu sabiyan, law kana nabiyya. A child is a child, even if he grows up to become a prophet. And there is a Urdu saying which is similar. Any child which, through the blessing of Allah, will do something big in his life, will still be a child. And what I'm going to discuss today will mention something similar. People from an early age thought of him, when he became a Khalifa, that he was a child. So one of the revelation, people said that a child will become a Khalifa and nations will be at war. But when we look at the history, we notice that we saw similar revelations in other books. In the Jewish book of Talmud, it was mentioned, following the death of the promised Messiah, his kingdom will be passed over to his son. Not only that, I will mention something from the Zoroastrian religion, Prophet Zarathustra, who was 1,000 years before promised Messiah was declared to be promised Messiah, one of the scholars revealed, he said that there will be in the latter days somebody from Farsi language or Farsi lineage will come and claim to be the promised reformer. There will come a time that I will stand from somebody from within a Farsi lineage who will claim to be the reformer, who will be the performer, and he will be the promised reformer of the age. When we look at the Holy Quran's ayat in Surah Jummah, O Holy Prophet, who are these people? And then Holy Prophet put his hand on Hazrat Salman Farsi and said, when Iman, faith, goes from the earth, from his lineage, Hazrat Salman Farsi lineage, there will be a man who will bring faith back to the ground. So what Hazrat Abdullah bin Amr mentions, that Holy Prophet ﷺ said, Isa ibn Maryam, or Jesus, will come back to the earth and he will get married and have a son. And now we look at what the God Almighty has said. God Almighty, whenever he gives the message of a child, it comes true. Prophet Zechariah was promised Hazrat Yahya. And likewise, the promised Messiah ﷺ was given the revelation that he will get married and he will have a child. And he wrote it in one of his books. God only promises children to the promised reformers or a prophet when they are going to be pious individuals. So I'm going to mention a few things from the history. In 1850, promised Messiah, when the promised Messiah claimed to be the promised reformer of the age, and he announced that those who are looking for the truth, looking for the true Islam, to come and spend time with him in Qadian. He openly invited everyone who was interested. And he challenged anyone to come and see for themselves. 5 to 6 months later, after his claiming that he was a prophet, there was a break in the stream, apologies. The promised Messiah wrote letters, an invitation to people across the world, to the West. Somebody wrote a letter to promised Messiah alayhi salam. It mentioned that you are spreading the word of the reformer of the age throughout the world. But what about the people that are nearby within India? And from that period, promised Messiah was thinking that I would go outside of Qadian and pray. He would go get closer to Allah. That this news that he had received was of such stature, so he decided to migrate to Hoshiarpur. And he traveled to Hoshiarpur to become closer to Allah. He spent time in supplication. There were a few of his companions with him. Allah showered endless blessings upon him at that time. One of the biggest revelation, there were many revelations, but the biggest revelation was the revelation of a son, which came true. And this is a prophecy, the revelation. And that was a prophecy, that was a revelation that came as during his supplications in Hoshiarpur. One month later, he wrote about this revelation, and he mentioned the son that I'm talking about, and he will be born within 9 years. Within 9 years. And 3 months later, God Almighty blessed promised Messiah with a daughter within 3 months. And then the opponents started saying that you were claiming of a son, but you had a daughter. This was well published throughout the world as well. And after that, a year later, after the revelation, a son was born who was named Bashir, whom we call Bashir Awwal in Jamaat. When the son was born, people felt that this was the promised son. But this wasn't the son, and maybe Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted to spread this throughout the world, and this son had passed away, and the opponents started spreading message is that this son died within 15 months of his age. You mentioned he was going to live a long life. I'll read the words from the original publication, which mentions God has told us that this son was not necessarily the same son. The revelation mentioned a 9-year period, so it could be anyone within that 9-year period, and it seemed that this son wasn't the son that was promised to the promised Messiah ﷺ. So I'm looking through the words. The promised Messiah ﷺ said, it wasn't mentioned that the child that will be born now will be the promised son. And it may be that within the 9-year term that a child will be born, a son. And this was before the birth of Bashir-e-Awwal, the first son who passed away within 15 months. So promised Messiah had already made people aware that this may be the case. And God listened. So promised Messiah ﷺ was blessed with another son who was named Mahmud and Bashir. And promised Messiah ﷺ again wrote about the birth of this son. And the way he mentioned the birth of this son, he mentioned, the promised Messiah writes, Mahmud, my eldest son, Mahmud, who is my eldest son, I wrote about his birth several times before, was the one that was revealed to me by Allah the Almighty. And according to that publication, that son will be called Mahmud. It was written on green paper, and this is in many people's houses, and they can have a look at it. And Allah had decided that was the time that that son would be born, perhaps to try and spread the message far and wide at that stage. And there was nobody who wasn't aware of this revelation. And Mahmud was born at that time. And this is what I wanted to mention, and I'm sure the other speeches will also touch on this. May Allah grant us the ability to understand these revelations and make us a devout Ahmadi.
Jazakumullah, may Allah Ta'ala bless you. Now, can I request Kamar Sethi Saab to come on stage and please read the wording of the prophecy of Hazrat MUSLEH-E-MAUD Raziyallahu Ta'ala Anhu in the words of Promised Messiah alayhi salatu wasalam.
अस्सलामु अलैकुम वरहमतुल्लाहि वबरकातुहू। मुस्लिह मौद के बारे में अज़ीमुश्शान इलाही
You will be blessed with a son, pure son. That son will be beautiful, pure, and he'll be a guest of yours. And his name will be Bashir and Amwai. He has a pure soul. He has a light of Allah. Blessed is the one who comes from the sky, and blessings will come along with him. and he will bring wealth, he will bring he will clear ailments, he will be very educated, he will make 3 into 4. Although the understanding of that is not clear yet, many congratulations. He will be blessed. Light only comes to those whom he wishes upon. Allah's shadow will be over him, and he will be famous in all corners of the world. Nations will seek blessings from him, and his status will be elevated to the skies.
The divine revelation concerning the Muslim-E-Maud. In the announcement of the 20th of February 1886, the promised Messiah ﷺ states, God, the merciful, the noble, the high, the exalted, who has power to do all that he wills, glory be to him and exalted be his name, has vouchsafed to me the following revelation. I confer upon you a sign of my mercy, according to what you begged of me. So I have heard your entreaties, and have honored your prayers with my acceptance through my mercy, and made your journey, i.e. the journey to Hoshiarpur and Ludhiana, a source of blessings for you. Therefore, a sign of power, mercy, nearness is bestowed on you, a sign of grace and beneficence is awarded to you, and you are granted the key of success and victory. Peace on you, O victorious one. Thus did God speak, so that those who desire life may be rescued from the grip of death, and those who are buried in the graves may come out of them, and so that the superiority of Islam and the dignity of God's word may become manifest unto the people, and so that truth may arrive with all its blessings, and falsehood may flee with all its ills, and so that people may understand that I am the Lord of power. I do whatever I will, and so that they may believe that I am with you, and so that those who do not believe in God, and deny and reject his religion, and his book, and his holy messenger Muhammad, the chosen one, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, may be confronted with a clear sign, and the way of the guilty ones may become manifest. Rejoice therefore that a handsome and pure boy will be bestowed on you. You will receive an unblemished youth, who will be of your seed and will be of your progeny. A handsome and pure boy is coming as your guest. His name is Emmanuel and also Bashir. He has been invested with a spirit of holiness, and he is free from all impurity. He is the light of Allah. Blessed is he who comes from heaven. He will be accompanied by grace which shall arrive with him. He will be characterized with grandeur, greatness, and wealth. He will come into the world and will heal many of their disorders through his messianic qualities and through the blessings of the Spirit of holiness. He is the word of Allah, for Allah's mercy and honor have equipped him with the word of majesty. He will be extremely intelligent and perceptive, and will be meek of heart, and will be filled with secular and spiritual knowledge. He will convert 3 into 4. Of this, the meaning is not clear. It is Monday, a blessed Monday. Sun, delight of the heart, high-ranking, noble, a manifestation of the first and the last, a manifestation of the true and the high, as if Allah has descended from heaven. His advent will be greatly blessed and will be a source of manifestation of divine majesty. Behold, a light comes, anointed by God, with the perfume of his pleasure. We shall pour our spirit into him, and he will be sheltered under the shadow of God. He will grow rapidly in stature and will be the means of procuring the release of those held in bondage. His fame will spread to the ends of the earth, and peoples will be blessed through him. He will then be raised to his spiritual station in heaven. This is a matter decreed. Jazakallah.
Jazakallah, Kawan Sethi Sahab, mashallah, and may Allah Ta'ala bless you for the efforts you just made and given us the wordings of the Peshgoi about the Hazrat Muslim Maud Raziyallahu Ta'ala anhu. Now we are at the stage where I would like to invite respected Murabbi Sahab, Manchester Missionary in Charge, Muhammad Ahmad Khurshid Sahib, to come and deliver his speech, which is in English. And the topic of Murabbi Sahab's speech is Hazrat Muslim Maud Raziyallahu Ta'ala anhu and acceptance of prayers. Hazrat Muslim Maud और कबूलियत दुआ. Murabbi Sahab.
أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وإذا سألك عبادي عني فإني قريب أجيب دعوة الداع إذا دعان فليستجيبوا لي وليؤمنوا بي لعلهم يرشدون. And when my servants ask thee about me, say, I am near. I answer the prayer of the supplicant when he prays to me. So they should hearken to me and believe in me, so that they may follow the right way. The promised Messiah ﷺ, concerning this verse of the Quran, आप फरमाते हैं कि वाइज़ा सालका इबादी अन्नी फ़इन्नी करीब के यही मानी है कि अगर सवाल हो कि खुदा का इल्म क्यों कर हुआ, तो जवाब ये है कि इस्लाम का खुदा बहुत करीब है. अगर कोई उसे सच्चे दिल से बुलाता है तो वो जवाब देता है. The promised Messiah ﷺ says that this verse of the Quran actually means that if someone has a question in mind, that how can knowledge about Allah or knowledge about God be attained? So the answer to that is very simply that the God of Islam is very near. If one seeks him with a pure heart and with honesty, then Allah the Almighty answers his prayers. Today we speak about an individual about whom not only did Sayyidina Hazrat Aqdas MUSLEH-E-MAUD ﷺ prophesize, as you just heard now, but in fact the Holy Prophet ﷺ also made a prophecy that the coming Messiah, yatazawwaju, he will marry, wa yuladu lahu, and he will be blessed with offspring. Now this individual about whom so many prophecies have been made had to be somebody who had a really close connection with Allah the Almighty, and his acceptance of prayers was such, as the promised Messiah ﷺ mentioned, that when someone seeks Allah the Almighty with a pure heart, then Allah responds to his prayers. So let's take a look at how Allah the Almighty heard the prayers of Hazrat Musleh-E-Maud Raziyallahu Anhu and how he helped him in times of need. Hazrat Sayyida Meher Apa Sahiba was the wife of Hazrat Musleh-E-Maud Raziyallahu Ta'ala Anhu. She narrates a wonderful incident at the time of the partition in 1947. She says that it was towards the Asr prayer time, the late afternoon time, and Hazur Raziyallahu Anhu, he came into the house and his eyes were red and they were swollen to an extent. And he came into the house and he said to Hazrat Sayyida Meher Apa Sahiba that unfortunately tomorrow is Eid, although it is Eid tomorrow, but I will not be able to distribute Eid amongst the family members. And he was very concerned about the conditions just prior to the partition. As you would know, that the partition was a very volatile time and a very unpredictable time for Muslims and everybody else. But because the Jamaat was centralized in Qadian, this was a very, very hostile time and period for the Jamaat itself. And an imminent attack could have been made at any given time against the Jamaat. So I'll just read what she's written in Urdu, Hazrat Sayyida Meher Apa Sahiba. And she says that when Hazrat MUSLEH-E-MAUD Raziyallahu Anhu came to visit her, he said कि मसरूफियत गैर मामूली है और मुझे मौजूदा हालात के मुतालिक शदीद घबराहट है। गो खुदा ताला ने अपने फजल से मेरी दुआ को सुना है और उसका ये वादा है कि आइना मा तकूनु याति बिकुमुल्लाहु जमिया। मैं सजदे की हालत में था जिस वक्त खुदा ताला की तरफ से ये बशारत मिली और मुझे इस पर पूरा ईमान है। That Hazrat MUSLEH-E-MAUD Raziyallahu Anhu said to his wife that I was in a state of anxiety almost, and I was very concerned about the Jamaat. When I was in a state of sajda, in a state of prostration, Allah the Almighty revealed upon him that aina ma takunu, that wherever you are, wherever you may be, yati bikumullahu jamia, Allah will bring you all together. Now in the town of Qadian, it was destined for the Jamaat to be dispersed from Qadian. Evacuation had to be made. But this prophecy that yati bikumullahu jamia, Allah will bring you all together again, was something which was very, very difficult to understand at that given time. But this was the promise of Allah to Sayyidina Hazrat MUSLEH-E-MAUD Raziyallahu Ta'ala Anhu. And we're all witness how Allah the Almighty saved the entire Jamaat. And the Jamaat was able to relocate under the banner, under the flag of the Jamaat Ahmadiyya, under one flag, under one Nizam, under Khilafat Ahmadiyya. So you can see how that prayer in sajda before the partition, in a state of extreme worry and concern for the Jamaat, how Allah the Almighty protected the entire Jamaat and foretold, it was almost a prophecy that aina ma takunu, wherever you may be, yati bikumullahu jami'a, Allah will bring you all together in the form of a Jamaat. So this is one way of how we can see that Sayyidina Hazrat MUSLEH-E-MAUD Raziyallahu Anhu, how his prayers were fulfilled. In fact, she says, his wife says that she noted down this ilham when Hazrat MUSLEH-E-MAUD mentioned it to her. So she noted it down and she put it away. And she said that as I began waiting for when this period would come true, that aina ma takunu yati bikumullahu jami'a. And she says we can all see now how the Jamaat was able to reconvene under the flag of Ahmadiyyat. She then narrates another wonderful and very faith-inspiring incident of Sayyidina Hazrat MUSLEH-E-MAUD Raziyallahu Ta'ala Anhu. Now this is the period after the partition. The Jamaat has relocated in Rabwa, which is a barren land, and the difficulties, apart from being physical, the enemy was still at large to cause problems for the Jamaat. This reminds us of the time when the Prophet ﷺ migrated from Makkah to Medina, and yet the enemy was, still ready to attack Medina and to eliminate Islam. So the same thing happened when the Jamaat migrated from Qadian to Rabwa, and the enemies were still at large trying to cause harm to the Jamaat. One example of this was that they managed to arrest Hazrat Mia Nasir Ahmad Sahib, who later became Hazrat Khalifatul Masih Salis, Rahimahullah. And they also managed to arrest Mirza Sharif Ahmad Sahib, who of course was the son of Sayyidina Hazrat Aqdas Masih-E-Maud alayhi salam, and the brother of Hazrat MUSLEH-E-MAUD Raziyallahu Anhu. This was that period of time. So Hazrat Sayyida Meher Apa Sahiba says that it was the summer days, and as we all know that the heat in the Rabwa in the summer days is extremely intense. It's hot and humid in Rabwa, and especially in that period, in that time, there was no forms of electricity, and one can only imagine the warmth in that area. She says that it was around Isha time, and we were sitting outside, i.e. herself and Hazrat MUSLEH-E-MAUD radiallahu anhu. They were sitting outside in the lounge, and because the heat was not lessening despite being outside, Hazrat MUSLEH-E-MAUD radiallahu anhu, over dinner, he showed some concern about the heat, that look how warm and how hot it is in this part of the country. So she said that Hazrat Sayyid Amher Appa Sahiba said that I wonder how Mia Nasir Ahmad Saab and Mirza Sharif Ahmad Saab, I wonder how they are in the heat of the jail in the cells. I wonder how the heat there would be. So she was extremely concerned that if we sitting here outside, we're struggling with the heat, then imagine them sitting in the jail and having no option of being able to go outside to get some fresh air. So this was a genuine concern from her side. Upon hearing this, Hazrat MUSLEH-E-MAUD radiallahu ta'ala anhu said कि अल्लाह ताला उन पर रहम फरमाए, वो सिर्फ इस जुर्म पर माखूज हैं कि उनका कोई जुर्म नहीं, इसलिए मुझे अपने खुदा पर कामिल यकीन और ईमान है कि वो जल्द ही उन पर फजल करेगा. Hazrat MUSLEH-E-MAUD radiallahu anhu said to her that Allah the Almighty will shower His mercy upon them. The only crime that they've been arrested for, that they've been taken in for, is that they've made no crime at all. They've committed no crime. So essentially, they've been put in for nothing. But Hazrat MUSLEH-E-MAUD said that मुझे अपने खुदा पर कामिल यकीन और ईमान है. I have full trust and faith in Allah the Almighty, and in the fact that He will, in a very quick time, He will manage to release them. He will find a way to release Hazrat Mia Nasir Ahmad Saab and Hazrat Mirza Sharif Ahmad Saab. Now, Hazrat Sayyida Meher Appa Sahiba says, and I'll read this part in Urdu because it shows the intensity of that moment when Hazrat MUSLEH-E-MAUD radiallahu anhu said what I just said earlier. आप कहती हैं कि इसके बाद मैंने देखा कि आपके चेहरे का रंग बदल गया और आप इशा की नमाज के लिए खड़े हो गए. गरिया उजारी का वो मंजर मैं भूल नहीं सकती. मैं इस कैफियत को कलम बंद नहीं कर सकती जो उस वक्त मेरी आंखों ने देखा. She says that what she saw at that given time, and Hazrat MUSLEH-E-MAUD radiallahu anhu mentioned the above. She said that I saw the color and the expressions of his face change altogether as he stood up for Namaz Isha. And she says that I cannot forget the state that I saw him in. And I was not able to note down what I saw at that given time. And my eyes cannot forget what I saw at that time. I mean, you can only imagine the conviction in the prayer of Hazrat MUSLEH-E-MAUD when he said to her that Allah Ta'ala jald intizam karega, that He will quickly find a way to release them. Now, the second aspect of this incident is, she says that आप कहती हैं कि यही मंजर फिर मैंने तहज्जुद के वक्त देखा. उस वक्त हजरत मुस्लिह-ए-मौद रज़ियल्लाहु अन्हु दुआएं बुलंद आवाज से नहायत इज्ज और रिक्कत के साथ मांग रहे थे. मुझे यूं लगता था कि सारी फजा और आपके इस दर्द और कर्ब में डूबे हुए नालो शयूर ने मुझ में एक ऐसा ईमान और यकीन पैदा कर दिया है कि मैं बरमला कहने लगी कि ये दुआ रायगा इंशाल्लाह नहीं जाएगी. आप फिर आगे कहती हैं कि उसने अर्श के पाए हिला दिए. जरूर ही दिन चढ़ते चढ़ते अल्लाह ताला नवीद सुनाएगा. आपकी ये दुआ रात के सुकूत में इस कदर बुलंद थी कि मैं समझती थी कि ये आवाज हमारे इर्द गिर्द बच्चों के घरों तक जरूर पहुंची होगी. Now she says that she saw Hazrat Musleh-E-Maud radiyallahu anhu in a state of offering namaz at-tahajjud, and he was praying aloud to Allah the Almighty. And she says that there was so much pain in those prayers. Even she felt that the atmosphere around him was in a state of discomfort and in pain. Everything was in that state due to the conviction and the pain in the prayer of Hazrat Musleh-E-Maud radiyallahu anhu. But she mentioned that at that time, that his prayers were such that I thought and I knew that this voice, she said that I knew that Allah the Almighty would not reject such a prayer. He will always accept such a prayer. This prayer will not go to waste. And his prayers, Hazrat MUSLEH-E-MAUD radiallahu anhu's prayers were such that she thought that in the neighboring homes where their children resided, she thought that they would probably have awakened by the prayers of Hazrat MUSLEH-E-MAUD radiallahu anhu. I mean, this was the level of prayer that Hazrat MUSLEH-E-MAUD radiallahu anhu was making to Allah the Almighty. Now, the very next day, the first telegram received to Hazrat MUSLEH-E-MAUD by Hazrat MUSLEH-E-MAUD radiallahu anhu was the good news that Hazrat Mian Nasir Ahmad Sahib rahimahullah and Mirza Sharif Ahmad Sahib radiallahu anhu had been released from jail, and they were making their way back to him, to Rabwa. Now, if you think about it, let's go back to the actual wording of Hazrat MUSLEH-E-MAUD radiallahu anhu. That इसलिए मुझे अपने खुदा पर कामिल यकीन और ईमान है कि वो जल्द ही उन पर फजल करेगा, meaning कि जल्द ही that he will quickly find a way to provide release for them. Who knew that quickly would mean the very next morning Allah the Almighty will find the means to release them. But no, who knows? I mean, if it wasn't for Hazrat Sayyida Meher Appa Sahiba, she told us firsthand that the night spent of Hazrat MUSLEH-E-MAUD radiallahu anhu was with so much pain in prayer that Allah the Almighty accepted his prayers there and then. And the very next day, the release was done. And this is a time just after the partition. So you can imagine that the stronghold of the Jamaat was not as it is today. But the conviction of prayer was always there. Sardar Abdul Haq Shakir Sahib, he narrates this incident. Again, this is related to the partition period. He says that towards the last months of 1947, there was a lot of danger and hostility against the Jamaat. In fact, there was an imminent attack to be made on Qadian by the Hindus and the Sikhs in the surrounding areas. Now, because of this new heights of hostility against the Jamaat, Hazrat MUSLEH-E-MAUD radiallahu anhu knew that something was going to happen. So one night, and this is the leadership of Hazrat MUSLEH-E-MAUD radiallahu anhu, one night close to midnight, he sent a message to all the Sadran, all the local presidents in the proximity of Qadian, and told them that by the morning, all the children and all the women should be evacuated and they should be taken somewhere safe. This was done close to midnight. Now, Sardar Abdul Haq Shakir Sahib says that when he heard the news, he fell in a state of anxiety and stress and concern, not for his own well-being in the family, but for the Jamaat in general. And he says that due to this concern, he wasn't able to go to sleep. Whilst awake, he saw in a state of kashf. Kashf means when you see a vision in a state where you are still awake. He says that he saw in a state of kashf that there is a big mountain. And on that big mountain is the town of Qadian. And from the bottom to the top of the mountain, there are houses which are made of gold. And towards the top of the mountain, there's a magnificent and a beautiful house which is reserved for Hazrat MUSLEH-E-MAUD radiallahu ta'ala anhu. And Shakir Sahib says that he saw Hazrat this is in the state of kashf again. He saw that Hazrat MUSLEH-E-MAUD radiallahu anhu was stood in a way where he was facing Kaaba. So when he was seeing Hazrat MUSLEH-E-MAUD facing the Kaaba, he felt that someone was standing next to him. So he looked across his shoulder to see someone dressed in all white was stood next to him. And this individual dressed in all white said to Sardar Abdul Haq Shakir Sahib कि घबराने की जरूरत नहीं, खुदा ताला अपने इस महमूद को दुश्मनों के मंसूबों से कबल अज वक्त इतला कर देता है. So this individual dressed in white said to Sardar Abdul Haq Shakir Sahab, that there's no need to worry. Allah the Almighty informs His Mahmud before the plans and the plans of his enemy, before the given time. So Sardar Abdul Haq Shakir Sahab says that, as you can imagine, I became free of concern. And now we can see how he mentions that we can see that straight after that period of time, the entire Jamaat, men, women, children, everyone was evacuated from Qadian, and they made their way to Lahore, which was a safe place for them at that given time, safer than Qadian. Now, this was the beauty of the acceptance of prayers of Sayyidina Hazrat MUSLEH-E-MAUD radiallahu anhu, whereby even people in his close proximity saw dreams and kashaf about the acceptance of prayers of Sayyidina Hazrat MUSLEH-E-MAUD radiallahu ta'ala anhu. Mukarram Khaja Ghulam Nabi Sahab radiallahu anhu, he was the editor of Al-Fazl newspaper for a very long time. He says that on the 31st of December 1914, Hazrat MUSLEH-E-MAUD radiallahu anhu led his nikah. And up until 1922, which is some 8 years later, Allah the Almighty did not bless them with children. So in 1922, he saw an article by Hazrat MUSLEH-E-MAUD radiallahu anhu, which was to be published. In this article, Hazur made certain points as to why we do not request other people for prayers. Like, for example, if we do not ask Hazur Akhtar Sayyidahullah for prayers and other saintly figures for prayers, then what is the reason behind that? Hazur mentioned 4 key points. Hazrat MUSLEH-E-MAUD mentioned 4 key points, and Mukarram Khaja Ghulam Nabi Sahab, he noted down these points. Hazur mentioned that the first reason why these prayers, one does not request the other for prayers, is number 1, he secretly does not believe in prayer. He sometimes prays for himself, but he does not request others for prayer. Secondly, there's an element of hidden arrogance. That why should I ask him for prayer? Or why should I ask that individual for prayer? So there's an element of a hidden arrogance within it. Thirdly, Hazrat MUSLEH-E-MAUD radiallahu anhu mentioned that sometimes Shaitan puts it into him and he convinces him that you should not ask that individual for prayers because, number 1, I am not so important that he will pray for me. And secondly, why should I waste his time by requesting him for prayers? This is another reason why people do not ask for prayers. And fourthly, Hazrat MUSLEH-E-MAUD radiallahu anhu mentioned that due to his deeds and actions, Allah sometimes deprives him and diverts his attention from asking the other individual for prayer. Because of what he's been doing, his actions are such that he does not ask. Allah diverts his attention from asking for prayers. So Khwaja Ghulam Nabi Sahib radiallahu anhu, he said that I knew that I fell under one of these 4 categories. Else I would have asked Hazur for prayers in all that period. But he mentioned a good reason for having not asked Hazur until then. He actually thought that Hazur already knew about the situation that he was in, but he had not formally asked Hazur for prayers. So he said that I knew that one reason or the other I must fall under these 4 categories. So he immediately sent a letter to Hazur, Hazrat MUSLEH-E-MAUD, requesting prayers and telling him that it's been that period of time whereby I have not been blessed with a child. Hazur prayed for him, and soon after they were blessed with a son. So you can see, I think it was a daughter in fact. So you can see how for that period of time, he did not ask Hazur for prayers. Then he saw why some people do not ask Hazur for prayers. And when he did ask for prayers, soon after, Allah Ta'ala blessed them with offspring. So this is the beauty and the importance of always writing to Khalifatul Masih and always requesting him for prayers. Mukarram Faiz Alam Sahib, he was an Ahmadi residing in Dhaka in Bangladesh. His wife, she was very unwell, his wife, and to the extent that the doctors said that all the treatments for her ailment had now become unsuccessful, and they were fearful for her life that she will probably pass away. So Faiz Alam Sahib wrote a letter to Hazrat MUSLEH-E-MAUD radiallahu anhu requesting prayers. And Hazur replied, Ke achhi ho jayegi, that she will be fine. So his wife, Faiz Alam Sahib's wife, saw a dream. And in the dream, Hazur said to her, Ke dua ko dawa par istemal karti jao. That continue using prayer over treatment. Meaning, of course, the treatment's there, but always give precedence to prayer and keep praying for the ailment that you have. And soon after this dream and the letter received by Hazrat MUSLEH-E-MAUD radiallahu anhu, the sent by Hazrat MUSLEH-E-MAUD received by Faiz Alam Sahib, he said that the miracle of prayer was such that this presumably uncurable disease had now been cured due to the miracle of prayer. One incident of the acceptance and how Allah the Almighty communicates with His beloved, I will actually read out to you in the words of Hazrat MUSLEH-E-MAUD रज़ियल्लाहु अन्हु. आप फरमाते हैं कि डॉक्टर मतलूब खान साहब की मौत की खबर सरकारी तौर पर आ गई थी। इससे चंद रोज पहले उनके वालिदैन यहाँ आए थे और बहुत ज़ईफ थे। चूंकि मौत की खबर आ चुकी थी, दुआ तो क्या होती, कर्ब जरूर हुआ। रात ख्वाब में देखा कि वो मरा नहीं, जिंदा है। दूसरे दिन उसका जिक्र अहबाब के सामने कर दिया, यानी इस ख्वाब का जिक्र। चंद रोज बाद डॉक्टर मतलूब खान का खत आ गया कि मेरे मुतालिक गलत फहमी हो गई, मैं मरा नहीं था, बल्कि दुश्मन मुझको पकड़ कर ले गए थे। So Hazrat MUSLEH-E-MAUD radiallahu anhu relates the story about how Dr. Matloob Khan Sahib, who was an Ahmadi doctor, how there was an official news which had reached him that he had passed away. And a few days prior to that, his parents, Dr. Matloob Khan Sahib's parents, had come to visit Hazrat MUSLEH-E-MAUD. And they were very old in age and very weak due to the age. So Hazrat MUSLEH-E-MAUD radiallahu anhu says that everyone was in a state of pain due to the demise or the demise of Dr. Matloob Khan Sahib, because it was official news. That was the news which had reached Hazrat MUSLEH-E-MAUD. So that night, Hazrat MUSLEH-E-MAUD saw in a dream that Dr. Matloob Khan Sahib had not passed away. He was indeed alive and well. So the next day, Hazrat MUSLEH-E-MAUD radiallahu anhu told the Jamaat that Dr. Matloob Khan is alive. A few days later, Hazur radiallahu anhu received a letter from Dr. Matloob Khan Sahib that I am fine, and there was some miscommunication which had reached you. In fact, I did not die, but I was kidnapped, and news spread that I had been killed. So let's focus on this story for a little while. This is the period of time where there's no social media, there's no internet, there are no mobile devices, and a letter takes a long while to reach, a long period of time to reach. And the news which had reached Hazrat MUSLEH-E-MAUD was official news that he had passed away. Only Allah the Almighty could have told him or foretold him that Dr. Matloob Khan Sahib was still alive and well. So you can see from this incident how Allah the Almighty spoke to Hazrat MUSLEH-E-MAUD radiallahu anhu. The last incident which I will try to tell you is that of Zaminuddin Sahib. Zaminuddin Sahib was a businessman. He used to export textiles to Ceylon. Ceylon is modern day Sri Lanka. So one day he took his textiles and the things he wanted to take to Sri Lanka, to Ceylon. When he reached the port of North India, news had reached that all the ships which were used for anything else had now to be used for war, because the situation was such that the government issued a statement that all the boats and all the ships had to now go in one direction or be used for one purpose only, and that is for war. Now, of course, that is his entire well-being, his entire livelihood, in fact, sorry. And he sent a letter to Hazrat MUSLEH-E-MAUD radiallahu anhu that his entire livelihood was at stake, and the items he had bought to send to Ceylon, he wasn't sure what was going to happen with it. A reply came from Hazrat MUSLEH-E-MAUD radiallahu anhu, which read कि आपका सामान Ceylon पहुंच चुका है, that your items have reached Ceylon. So he asked, Zaminuddin Saab asked the port managers that, what is this, what happened? They said that there was only one ship which had not yet reached the port. So as soon as it reached the port, because obviously this instruction did not apply to that specific ship, when it touched the port, we loaded the ship with all the goods, and we sent it to Ceylon, to Sri Lanka. And this way, all your items have now reached Ceylon, as per that MUSLEH-E-MAUD's wording that "Aapka saman Ceylon pahunch chuka hai." How did Hazrat MUSLEH-E-MAUD know? How was he even aware of the situation? How would he know that only one ship had not reached the port yet? So you see, when we speak of Sayyidina Hazrat MUSLEH-E-MAUD radiallahu anhu, that وَإِذَا سَأَلَكَ عِبَادِي أَنِّي فَإِنِّي قَرِيبٌ. When my beloved asks me about me, إِنِّي قَرِيبٌ, I'm very close by, I'm very near to you. And from these incidents we can see how close Allah the Almighty was to Sayyidina Hazrat MUSLEH-E-MAUD radiallahu ta'ala anhu. May Allah enable all of us to follow into the footsteps of Hazrat MUSLEH-E-MAUD radiallahu anhu and fulfill the expectations that he had of the Jamaat Ahmadiyya. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala ali Muhammadin wa barik wa sallim innaka hamidun majid.
Jazakallah Murabbi Sahab for a beautiful speech, Alhamdulillah, which is given all of us a lot of information on the topic which you chosen. May Allah Ta'ala bless you. Before I request our key speaker, I would like to share the good news that Alhamdulillah, we are so far around 600 members who are connected with the YouTube, with the Facebook, Twitter or Instagram, and 600 members who are connected, but as an average around 3 to 4 members per household are watching this transmission, which is great success. May Allah Ta'ala bless my IT team, and may Allah Ta'ala bless all of you who are joining us. Now we are at the end of today's Jalsa. We are very fortunate that our very senior member, a very senior Murabbi Silsila Akhlaq Ahmad Sahib, accepted our request, and he is main speaker of today's session. I would like to give a brief introduction about respected Akhlaq Anjam Sahib. He is working in Tafsir office since 1986. He is fluent in Russian language and studied Russian language at London Institute of Foreign Languages in London. He has served as missionary in different Russian states like Moscow, Lithuania, and Tatarstan. He served Murabbi Silsila in Islamabad, Pakistan, and also Southall in England. With this brief introduction, I request respected Akhlaq Sahib to give today's keynote address, which is in Urdu, and live English translation will be given simultaneously on English link provided. Topic of his speech is Hazrat MUSLEH-E-MAUD and Khidmat-e-Quran. Hazrat MUSLEH-E-MAUD और उनकी कुरान की खिदमत.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah.
Illallahu wahdahu la sharika lahu wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh. Amma ba'du fa'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Walau anna ma fil ardi min shajaratin aqlamun wal bahru yamudduhu min ba'dihi sab'ata abhurim ما نفذت kalimatullah innallaha azizun hakim. खुदा ने
God has, through Promised Messiah alayhi salam, the sign of the Promised Messiah, was sent due to the pain that Islam was feeling at the time. He was there to reform the state of Islam. The promised Messiah ﷺ said, the opponents are attacking at night. We are waiting the time for daylight where Islam can rise again. And Murabbi Sahib is saying a few couplets from Promised Messiah ﷺ's writings, where he is, just to give a gist, talking about the rise of Islam again, and that may Allah give him the strength to facilitate that. So Promised Messiah ﷺ was well versed in Islam, was sent by Allah to bring people towards a true and righteous Islam. As mentioned before, the Promised Messiah went to Hoshiarpur to spend time there in supplication and become closer and gain guidance. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave blessings and glad tidings to the Promised Messiah alayhi salam. God, Allah said to the Promised Messiah alayhi salam, you have been given the sign of blessings, you will be given victory, you would be given all the support, or you go ahead and bring the faith of Islam back to the population, and with the blessings and whatever I wish will happen, and whatever I put forward will happen. The revelation we must remember that Allah has written the Holy Quran, and the true beneficiaries of the Holy Quran is His selected people. Rabbi Sahib has read an Arabic verse, and those who are pure and pious will benefit from the true teachings of Holy Quran. No matter how much knowledge you obtain, until there is taqwa and true piousness, you will never gain the true meanings of the Holy Quran. You will never understand even if they don't have any worldly knowledge and they are highest in the state of taqwa and are pure in their spiritual life, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala opens doors for that person to the Holy Quran, so that blessed son was sent by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and given the blessings and enlightenment for the world. He mentions, when I was quite a young child, I saw a dream when something falls in a bowl, a drop of water falls into it and makes a sound, and then that noise kept coming, and then after that a picture established from that, and from there a personality came out of it, something came out of it, a soul, and I've come to teach you the translation of the Holy Quran. When he reached Iyaka na'budu wa iyaka nasta'in, he mentioned that every tafsir or translation that with the commentary has been released hasn't gone past this stage. At that time I was 15 years of age. This is regarding the promise as a MUSLEH-E-MAUD. And those things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has taught me at that early age, I'm able to answer any questions of any opponent that is against Islam, and I can answer any question, any on worldly matters, whether it's capitalism, whether it's democracy, any Western state, any question that may arise, I can answer based on this. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in his heart, Hazrat MUSLEH-E-MAUD placed in his heart the secrets, the deep understanding of the Holy Quran. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent angels to educate the Hazrat MUSLEH-E-MAUD, and he put in his mind things that nobody else could have ever imagined. And the clarity and the knowledge that he had been bestowed on by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through his angels, he taught the Holy Quran through the angels. And he created such a passion within me for the Holy Quran, and such a deep understanding of the Holy Quran, that there is no scholar who can come in front of me and challenge my knowledge. Any professor, any scholar of any scientist can come in front of me and try to attack the Holy Quran, and with the grace of Allah I can answer every allegation of theirs, that they will have no answer left. And I make a pledge that I will answer based on the Holy Quran and what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has written in the Holy Quran. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has told me in a dream that he has given me the knowledge of the Holy Quran, and within that knowledge I have the knowledge of the world. And whatever I felt weak Wherever I felt I had a lack of knowledge, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala filled that void. And today I'm announcing that any philosopher, any scientist, any learned person, scholar of any knowledge, whichever knowledge that they may have, whether it's scientist, language, politician, whichever specialty they may be in, and if they raised allegations against Islam, I can answer each and every allegation, and straight from the Holy Quran. And this will be the same knowledge that will guide nations to the right path. The first caliph, who was a well-versed scholar of the Holy Quran, and he was the one who used to give dars and teach promised Messiah alayhi salam when it came to the Holy Quran and a hadith. He himself learned many things from Hazrat Mirza Bashiruddin Mahmud Ahmad, the second caliph. He mentions that there was a time when I was going to Hajj. The first caliph said, I've not mentioned something that I would like to mention. Although I taught you the Holy Quran, but some things I've learned from you, and I've remembered from you, and learned from you. Now that you are leaving for Hajj, and maybe we will meet again or not, I wanted to let you know of that. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it just goes to show how Allah taught him the Holy Quran, how he taught him at such a young age, that even the well-versed scholars of Islam learned from him, and how he was able to then spread that knowledge from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to the rest of the world, and how he spent the rest of his life according to the revelations. Throughout his life, at every stage of his life, he took guidance from the Holy Quran. That was the food for his soul. And the reason for his being was the Holy Quran. His sitting, his standing, his talking, his silence was due to the Holy Quran. He wrote many books to portray the truthfulness of the Holy Quran, the great status of the Holy Quran. And he delivered many sermons in which he mentioned about the Holy Quran, the blessings within it. From 1928 to 1930, he wrote 6 books where he wrote about the spiritual works within the Holy Quran and the truthfulness of the Holy Quran. He described to the world in great detail what the treasures are within the Holy Quran, and also explained the truthfulness of the Holy Quran within that. And out of all the publications, all the books from Allah, the Holy Quran has the highest status. Anwarul Ulum, volume 11 and 12, is where he mentions all this. So the Darsul Quran in 1910 when he was 21 years of age, he started delivering dars on the Holy Quran. And this continued after he became the Khalifa, the second Caliph. These darses carried on. He invited everyone who was willing to listen, even the ladies of the house, of his own household. He used to deliver dars to. And whoever partook in these dars, benefits immensely from these darses. There was only one reason for these darses, was to spread the message of Holy Quran, to pass it on. And those people who weren't aware of the blessings of the Holy Quran were given guidance, were given the light. He mentions the Hazrat Muslim. He says, things don't become clear until you become closer to the Holy Quran. You should, every verse of the Holy Quran creates such a state in your heart that no other book can ever do that. It causes changes in your heart. It brings you closer to Allah. In 7 September 1928, people from Qadian, not only Qadian, but Ahmadis from across the world came Hazrat MUSLEH-E-MAUD delivered a speech in such an interesting way, or this dars in such an interesting way. He used to, on a daily basis, he used to discuss and have questions on exam. He used to test the people who were there regarding the previous dars that was delivered. He wanted the Ahmadis to have the light of Holy Quran within their hearts, shining bright. He wanted people to learn. Every moment of his life, Hazrat MUSLEH-E-MAUD was dedicated to the service of Holy Quran and Allah. And he delivered the message not only to the Ahmadis but also the non-Ahmadis. And there have been prominent non-Ahmadis who have said about him, the Quran, the efforts that the Hazrat MUSLEH-E-MAUD, the second Caliph, made in the service of Islam, Quran, and the spread of Islam should be recognized, and may Allah give him immense blessings for that work. The work he did was of extreme high status, and whatever he explained, the way he opened every verse, every word in such a beautiful way, holds such a high status. This is a service to Quran that he had. Tafsir-e-Saghir is one of those. Tafsir-e-Saghir is one of those commentaries that is a service to the Holy Quran. So this is written in Urdu by the second Caliph, Hazrat MUSLEH-E-MAUD. This is, without a doubt, the most comprehensive, without any question, the most detailed commentary of the Holy Quran. And it's obvious when reading this commentary that you can see that there is a blessing from Allah. Hazrat MUSLEH-E-MAUD, at the time of writing this commentary, was at an elderly age. He had been attacked 2 years prior to writing this, and he suffered greatly as a result of that attack. In 1955, the ailments that he had were progressing quite significantly. He was quite unwell. He had to travel to Europe for treatment, and during that tour he carried on delivering the message of Islam, the Holy Quran. And every word that he said exhibited the love that he had for the Holy Quran, and it exhibited the love he had for the Holy Quran to the rest of the world. He said, I have prayed to Allah, O my Lord, the world has not had the pleasure of experiencing the Holy Quran to the whole completely. Please give me the strength to complete the commentary so that the world would benefit from it, the world would become in love with it, and world will be guided towards it. And that was the love he had for the Holy Quran. Even in his old age and his ailments and other problems, financial and other reasons, he was given the blessings from Allah to complete the translation, to complete the commentary. He spent days and nights, all his days and nights, working on this commentary translation. His wife mentioned the days where he was writing these the tafsir, the translation, the commentary, he had no interest in rest. He used to spend his time in prayer and writing the tafsir, the translation, the commentary, and he kept this up until this was complete. And this was done during the period where he was unwell. Doctors urged him to rest, urged him to try and rest, but he had only one mission, and this mission was to write this commentary. Night would turn into day and day would turn into night, and he kept on writing. His desire was to complete this. This was his pain. This was a pain in his heart. Hazrat Mateen said that I wished, I had a desire in my heart that I would join in and help you with this translation commentary, but I got fever. I had a fever at that time and I was unwell, and I said to Hazur at the time that I've taken medicine and I'm hopeful that my fever would break, and then if you take a rest for a couple of days I will be able to write for you. But Hazur said, I don't have faith in how long I have left in this life, so what would happen in those days if I passed away? And so he kept on going. He completed Tafsir-e-Saghir, and after the publication of his translation and commentary, it caused people across the world to take notice. It was so simple to understand and read, but was so much in depth and detail. Tafsir-e-Kabir was another book which he translation and commentary which began and he did 10 volumes of. There is no topic that has not been touched within this translation. this translation commentary, he explained in detail, even in his ailment, when he was unwell, during his illness and old age. And again, he turned day into night and night into day, worked tirelessly to complete this tafsir, this translation. And he mentions that 1,000 pages were done overnight. And I had the work from my Darsul Quran, and there was still another 1,000 to go. And there were 2,500 columns that he spent 3 months writing at night. And at times, the only reason I used to lay down was to straighten my back for minutes before waking up for namaz, for fajr. There is, in these days, any child, any student can tell you that waking up and staying up at night is probably not a big thing these days. For them, it's probably the norm. But you have to remember that this is in a situation where it was the heat during the summer, no electricity, no light. He used to do this with the most difficult of situations. And he could have said, no, it's not possible for me, but he never let that stop him. He never let any circumstance slow him down, even his illness or his age. Tafsir Kabir, people have said about this tafsir that through this tafsir or translation commentary, they've understood the true picture of Islam, the true understanding of Islam, and people have found the true meaning of Islam through it. And this was the translation of Holy Quran into various languages was also initiated by Hazrat MUSLEH-E-MAUD radhiyallahu anhu, especially in a time where the translation of Holy Quran was considered a kufr. But through his wisdom and understanding, we were taught that translation of Holy Quran is not kufr, it's a necessary duty. And how would one understand in different languages what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wishes of them? And one of his wishes was that the world would understand the beauty of Holy Quran, would understand the meaning of Holy Quran. And today, in this day, there are 1,300 languages that exist, and it is important that the Holy Quran exists in 1,300 languages. And there should be no individual speaking a language that doesn't have access to Holy Quran in that language. So there should be no excuse, or no one should be able to say to Allah the Almighty that I was born to a language or to a country where there was no translation. He wished that Jamaat-e-Ahmadiyya was the first to release the English translation and commentary of the Holy Quran, and he oversaw this project and managed to get this translation into Western libraries, into Western records, and lots of people outside the Jamaat wrote reviews about this. And people have written that even a small community with not a lot of financial capability have managed to write a translation in English. Whereas in 600 years or many years of Islam, no one else has been able to release such a translation. And this person who is unwell in terms of his health, without financial strength, was able to release such a translation for the world to see. Hazrat MUSLEH-E-MAUD, anhu, he mentions on the topic of the translation of Holy Quran, when the first few verses that were released after translation, people came to visit me. They spoke to me in different languages, and I gave the translation of the first few verses to them. But they later delivered a speech that Islam, the true teachings of Islam, will come not from the Arabic world, but from a small Asian town called Qadian. Hazrat Mirza Nasir Ahmed, Khalifatul Masih III, said during a Jalsa Salana, and his job was to spread the message of his at that time. Danish, Dutch, English translations were published. East Africa was published in Logandi language along with commentary. Western Africa along with commentary, and many others were ongoing. French language was done, Spanish language translation was done, Italian was done, Russian, Portuguese is ready, Danish with detailed notes, Kukumba language was also ready. Indonesian language. So this was the progress that he was making. 15 languages. Hazrat MUSLEH-E-MAUD anhu, during his tenure as a Khalifa, 15 languages were complete or were along with some carrying on. So his service to the Holy Quran was great. No doubt in that. And during his tenure, the work that started on the translation of the Holy Quran has now exceeded 100 languages. And that time is not far when every nation would benefit from a translation of Holy Quran. And those nations will pray for those who have been able to deliver this translation to them. And it was during his lifetime that he started the translation of Holy Quran. And the due diligence and the detail that he went into for these translations to fight the opponents who said it was kufr to release them. He carried on in great detail offering the service, and he even spent time in great painstaking detail to do word by word translation in many languages, just so the true understanding of the Holy Quran could be portrayed in each language or in many languages that he worked on, so that people could understand in great detail the fourth Caliph, Hazrat Khalifatul Masih Rabi, before Khilafat, mentioned in a speech, about the promise Hazrat MUSLEH-E-MAUD and his service to the Holy Quran. And he mentioned that it was a great mind that came up with a scheme for the translation of Holy Quran. There is no comparison of that mind. It needed a system. It needed a protocol which was required to spread that word across the world. It was not only it was the sacrifices made by Hazrat MUSLEH-E-MAUD. And he put in a great service during his lifetime. He called people from across the world who were devotees of the Jamaat to spread this message across the world. And he himself led by example, where he devoted all of his 13 children to this work, to the spread of Holy Quran. And he wished of his children to join Jamia, to learn the Holy Quran in great detail. And he wished for them to learn in great detail the whole of Holy Quran and spread its message. In Tafsir Kabir, in the last few volumes, for its publication, he paid money out of his own pocket. And he mentioned that the benefit from this will be Sadqa Jariyah. It will continue. It will be Sadqa that carries on. And whatever he had, he devoted his life towards the service of Holy Quran. And he got the whole of Jamaat ready towards the service of Quran. I would like to conclude my speech. The service that I have done, this will remain till the end of the world. And those opponents who are shouting against me, he will have to admit that I am the Khadim-e-Quran for this age. Allah sent His angels specifically for my education of the Holy Quran and taught me the deep, intricate details of the Holy Quran that nobody else had even imagined. And that was the knowledge that was put into my heart and vouchsafed. And that is my purpose, that I would challenge anyone in the world that if they've been taught Quran by Allah the Almighty, that I would challenge them. And I challenge them that there is no one but me who has been given the knowledge of Holy Quran. Allah has blessed me with the knowledge of Holy Quran, the knowledge of Holy Quran, and has sent me to spread the beauty of Holy Quran to this age, and to spread the name of Holy Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam along with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the Holy Quran. And the world can try its hardest. They can gather all their resources. Even if the religion joins with the nations, no matter how strong the alliances of oppression are, they would not. And I swear by Allah that Allah, with His blessings and my prayers, will defeat them all and will overcome them. Wa akhira dawana alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen.
Jazakumullah Asman Jazar, respected Murabbi Sahab, for the wonderful speech, which given all of us a new information about the Hazrat Muslim-E-Maud Raziyallahu Ta'ala Anhu. And I am sure, inshallah ta'ala, all members and listeners had learned many new things from your speech, and inshallah ta'ala, we will try our best to implement all those things which Hazrat Muslim-E-Maud Raziyallahu Ta'ala Anhu wanted from the members of Jamaat. May Allah ta'ala bless you for this wonderful speech. Now we are at the end of our program, and I am very grateful to all listeners who joined us from across the globe and enjoyed this virtual Jalsa Muslim-E-Maud. So far, I have received the numbers from my social media team that total number of who were connected today through social media platforms were 1,225. But I am sure that actual numbers are far greater than 1,025. So may Allah Ta'ala bless this Jalsa to all listeners, and may Allah Ta'ala make this Jalsa beneficial to all of us. I am very much thankful to all my participants of today's program who prepared their tilawat, nazam, prophecy, wordings and speeches for all of us. I will say my sincere thanks to all my IT team who did a lot of hard work behind the scenes and arranged this Jalsa for us. I am very much aware that how much hard work and time requires to prepare this program, and they all deserve our special prayers. May Allah Ta'ala bless them all. I am also grateful to Amar Ahmed Saab for his English live translation, which I am sure all English listeners very much enjoyed. Finally, I am very much grateful personally and on behalf of all members of Northwest region to respected Akhlaq Ahmed Anjum Saab to share and spend his valuable time with us this evening. We know how much busy you are, but you spared today's time for us. May Allah Ta'ala bless you, Akhlaq Saab. With these final words, I request respected Akhlaq Saab to end this session by leading us in silent prayers, please.
दुआ कर लें. آمین. جزاکمullah.
Jazakumullah khairan, Rabbi Sahib. May Allah Ta'ala bless you. Jazakumullah IT team and all listeners. Khuda Hafiz. Allah Ta'ala Hafiz Nasir. Jazakumullah.
آمین.
خلیفہ کے ہم ہیں خلیفہ ہمارا وہ دل ہے ہمارا آقا ہمارا 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 خلیفہ ہمارا وہ دل ہے ہمارا آقا ہمارا وہ دل ہے ہمارا آقا ہمارا خلیفہ کے ہم ہیں خلیفہ ہمارا وہ دل ہے ہمارا آقا ہمارا خلیفہ کے ہم ہیں خلیفہ ہمارا وہ دل ہے ہمارا آقا ہمارا